What are we talking about today? Man, check it out. We are going to be talking about inclusivity of deliverability, right? Or inclusivity of delivery. All right. And what do I mean when I say that? Because that's a mouthful, man. Inclusivity of delivery. What are you talking about? Um, what I'm talking about is how we deliver our information products, how we deliver our digital products, how do we deliver these things to people in a way that gets us the result we want, right? Because a lot of times we think that the result that I want is the money. Like that's what I want. Like I want to deliver my product and I want to make money. Right? That is like the immediate result. Sure, of course, that's the immediate result everybody wants. That's how we stay in business. But also there's this whole idea of extending the life of our customer, right? We want them to come back and buy more things off of us. Right? Well, so one of the things that like kind of keeps people from buying more stuff from us is by them not consuming the products they bought from us. Okay. Like we have good enough marketing to where they buy our stuff, but then for one reason or another, they don't consume our stuff. Right. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Do you see this right here? This is a printed off copy of a book that I bought last year. It was called But Ugly Postcards. And this is all about direct mail. It's about using postcards for direct mail. But what you're looking at is something quite rare. This right here should not exist in a physical form, right? Because last year I bought this special report, I guess you could say. It's more like a book because it's like 180 pages or something, but I bought it and immediately I was taken to their website. I had to log in and I had to the book was there in like this kind of like digital form that I could not download and print out. Like it was a digital form. I had to consume it right there on their website. I had to log in and consume it right there. It had like a little triangles so I could turn each page and it made like a little page turning noise when you turn the page, but you had to consume it right there, right? And that is not how I want to consume information. That's not how I consume information, right? And like maybe I'm the minority. I have no idea. But what I know is I don't like reading ebooks very much. I like reading print copy books. Now it's a little better if it's like on a Kindle or like a tablet and I can take it around with me and I can lounge around on the couch and read it on a tablet or something. That's a little bit better. But just like reading ebooks on my desktop, that's not something I enjoy doing. Um, I had a subscription to Magnetic Marketing for quite a long time. No BS newsletter from Dan Kennedy, and I tried the digital version. It was half the price. Of course, I tried the digital version. It was like $97 a month for the premium, the print newsletter, only $47 a month for the digital. Of course, I wanted to try the digital. Why not? I can just print it out if I want to, right? Well, I got many issues of the digital and like I never read any of them. I never read any of them. And you know what else? Like I didn't feel like printing them out either because it was like 100 pages and I didn't want to print out 100 pages. So it was just they just sat there and like I ended up saying, I don't need this. I'm going to cancel it. And I canceled it. And when I canceled it, they sent me a print copy of the newest Dan Kennedy No BS newsletter. And I read that one. And that was the first one I'd read. The first one I'd read since before when I got the print versions. So like, and I realized something like I just don't like to engage with content in that way. Like for me to retain it in my mind, I need a print version. Okay. So that is a little fact about me. Put that to the side. For a long time, I taught people who asked me about this. I taught in my courses and I taught other people when I taught content creation, but when I taught information product creation, I taught people they say, "Well, what's the best form that I should create this in? Should it be like ebook? Should it be like, audio? Should it be like video course? What is the best way for me to do this, Cam? What's the most profitable? And I always told them, the best way is like whatever way moves you forward the fastest, because people will meet you on your chosen form of media, right? Like if you do better and you move faster with audio, then do audio. If you do better and move faster with written, do special reports. If you do better and move faster with video courses, do video courses, right? That's what I always told people. And I do think that's pretty sound advice to get people moving. But I've changed my stance on it a little bit. And the reason why is because of this and because of the Dan Kennedy thing. Because what I always told people was people will meet you on your chosen form of media if they want the information badly enough. They will meet you on your chosen form of information. If on your chosen form of deliverability, they will meet you. They will meet you on your chosen form of deliverability if you want the information bad enough. Well, I know it's not true, okay? Now I know it's not true. I always felt like it was true, but it's not true. It's not true for me. And if it's not true for me, it's probably not true for other people, because what I have found is that like I bought this a year ago and I never read it because of the way it was delivered. And what happened was I kind of was forgetting about it. And then I started getting emails from the guy who wrote it, like email marketing emails, talking about new stuff. And I could have unsubscribed. I was like, this guy makes me mad because, I don't like the way he delivers his products. Right. So I would unsubscribe, but I want to like remember that I have that ebook that he wrote, and I got to figure out a way to get the information out of it, because I don't want to read it the way he does it, but maybe I can get the information in a different way, So like I'm going to keep letting his email marketing come to me just so I remember I have that ebook, right? So a year later, finally, a day comes a year later, which happened to be today. Today was that day where I had a couple hours and I said, you know what? I am going to figure out how to deal with this. So here's what I did. I took this ebook that was available in a special program on his website, one page at a time, where you flip through and you got neat little sound effects. I downloaded each page as a PNG file. Okay. Each page downloaded as a PNG file. It was like 90 PNGs. Okay. I took those 90 PNGs and I merged them together and formed a PDF. Okay. And then I took that PDF, I converted it into a Google Doc to save on space, and so it wasn't like weird like a PDF. And I printed that Google Doc out into this, which is about 30 pages. It's about 30 pages, okay? And I got the ebook that I bought last year in the form that I wanted to read it. But here's the funny thing. I did not interact with this content for a year. All right. For a whole year, I didn't interact with this content. And the only reason I actually remembered it is because he started sending me emails. For a long time, he didn't send me any emails. Then he started sending me emails, promoting whatever he was promoting. And the only reason I didn't unsubscribe is because I wanted to remember I had this ebook. All right. So it took a couple hours to convert that ebook into a format that I was willing to deal with it. So what's the point, right? The point is some of your customers aren't going to meet you in the way that you deliver your content. Some of them are going to refuse to meet you there. They're going to buy your stuff. And like, I don't really refund, very, very rarely do I refund a product, right? So even though I bought that a year ago and it wasn't in the format that I wanted, I'm not going to read this. I don't want to engage with this on your website. This is ridiculous. I got to log into your website every time I want to come back to this ebook. I don't think so. I'm not doing this, right? I don't have time to do it. I don't want to do it this way. This is not how I like to read material. I'm not doing it, right? And I walked away from it. Most people, I think, would have just walked away from it and forgot about it. And I kind of did walk away from it and forget about it. But the point is, I don't really do refunds. So even though I bought your product and I didn't refund it, it doesn't mean you got to me, right? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that I consumed your product and I got something out of it. No. I might have still been on your email list, but the thing about it is you didn't create an impact with me. You didn't create an impact with me because the way you put your product out, I'm not going to engage with that, right? So that kind of like, you know, has to, that forces me to like re-examine the way I've always looked at it, which is, hey, you know what? People will meet you on your own terms if the information you have is good enough. And you could make the argument, well, Cam, you went through all that trouble to print this out because you wanted the information. Yes, but I didn't meet the creator on their terms, right? I printed it out and put the information on my terms. Now, look, they did it to fight against piracy, right? I understand. You don't want people stealing your stuff. You don't want people, putting your stuff on black hat forums and all that stuff. I don't care about that. I respect that. But I don't want to engage with your content the way that you have presented it to me. And I'm not going to. And I bet you there's a lot of other people out there like me who aren't going to. They're just not going to deal with it because it's not in the format that they want to deal with. Kind of brings me back to something that was happening years ago. I used to buy courses off of this guy, Alex Jeffries, really smart guy, great marketer. But he sold courses in video form, right? And the video form was like, here's how he would do it. He would do these courses. They were low ticket courses, $10, $20 courses. And it would be like, sorry, I drew a blank. Sorry. He would do these courses and it would basically be like a mind map, right? And he would walk you through the points that he wanted to make on that mind map. It was really cool. They were really cool courses. But what he did was he didn't just do the video, right? He would have the video course, right? You could interact with this stuff in video course. And then he also provided the audio of the course, then he also provided the transcript of the course. So he gave you like 3 ways to engage with this content, 3 different ways to engage with the content, right? And I thought like, that's interesting. And then, further on into my career, like there had been times where like I would provide the original course, for one price, and then I would provide additional versions of the training for a different price, like an upsell price. And I think that's fine. Like if this guy would have said, okay, look, you can interact with this training on my website. You get this version for this price or whatever. And then if you pay this upsell, there's like a download fee or whatever. Like you pay a little bit more and you gain the ability to get a printable version. So this is for the people who like to print off their stuff, right? You get the printable version for an extra charge. I would have been totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. It doesn't bother me to pay an extra fee for the printable version. But the fact that it's not available at all, this is the only way you can interact with it. What I'm saying is when you do that, when you draw that line in the sand, it doesn't matter how good your information is. There are people who aren't going to meet you on your playing field. They just don't want to play on that field. I do a lot of audio trainings, and I happen to know that there are people who don't like audio trainings. They're just not into audio trainings, like they're into like written trainings, or they're not into, written trainings. They're into video trainings, And then I know people who aren't into long form content either, man. They want it quick. They want it now. They want nice, quick, short little burst videos. Like no videos should be longer than 10 minutes in this course, right? I know people that are like that. Plenty of customers like that. And like this whole idea of kind of like delivering your information that you want to deliver people like in a way that is inclusive to all of your customers. There's a reason why you should do it. Okay. And it's not because you want everybody to be happy. I mean, yeah, you do want everybody to be happy. That's true. You want all your customers to be happy, but there's also like this stance for exclusivity, right? And you can be like, well, look, this is how I deliver it. If you don't like it, go away. There's something to that stance. I'm a big, I follow Ben Settle, and the way he does things, it's very exclusive. It's a lot of exclusivity around his work. And it's like it's kind of there's kind of like this stance, like this is the way I do it, man. If you don't like it, too bad. That's how it is. He's got this app, it's like this Learnistic app, and a lot of his courses and stuff are delivered all through the Learnistic app. And like, if you don't like consuming them that way, too bad. That's how you got to consume them. Well, I absolutely hate consuming them that way. Absolutely hate it. Um, but I deal with it. Yep, I deal with it. I meet him on his playing field in that particular situation. But there's plenty of situations where I don't do that. I don't meet people on their playing field to get the content. I'm just like, I'm out, dude. I can't do this. It's too frustrating for me to do it this way. So coming back to the point, why be inclusive? Why be inclusive with your deliverability? Um, I try to be very inclusive with my deliverability. I don't think you should be inclusive all the time with your business. Man, there is a time and place for exclusivity. Do not get me wrong. There is a time and place for exclusivity. What I'm saying is, I don't think deliverability, like the idea of delivering the product that someone purchased, I don't think that's the best time for exclusivity. I think it's good to be inclusive in that way. And the reason why I feel that way is because I need my product to make impact. Okay. If you buy something off of me that costs $100, that's cool. That's cool. You bought something from me for $100. Well, what if you don't consume it? Like, what if you don't get anything out of it? What are the chances that you're going to buy another thing from me for $100? What are the chances that you're going to buy my $1,000 product? What are the chances you're going to buy my $5,000 product if you never even consumed my $100 product? What are the chances? They're pretty minimal. I think you don't need me to tell you that. It's minimal, right? So like, when we put out these digital products, we need people to consume them. The people who buy these products, we need them to consume them. The people who pick up your lead magnet for free, you need them to consume the lead magnet and get something out of it, right? So I do think when it comes to deliverability, like, and the idea of, okay, you've raised your hand, you've purchased my product, or you've raised your hand to get the free thing from me. Okay, cool. How am I going to deliver this free thing to you? And like, in the case of something like this, what's happening? It's being afraid of piracy, right? Being afraid of piracy. That is what's happening. You can see in the first page of this, you can see notice in the first page, right? You can see the notice. You do not have the right to reprint or resell this report. You may also not give away, sell, or share the content herein. If you obtain this report from anywhere other than postcardcheatcode.com, you have a pirated copy, right? Please help stop internet crime. Boom. And it says by reporting this to this or whatever. The point is, they're so worried about internet piracy that like they're kind of like neglecting their customers a little bit with this kind of like exclusive form of deliverability. And what I'm saying is, it's like a weight thing. You have to weigh it. Like to me, it's like, okay, look, if I, like, for me personally, I let people download my products, right? I even provide little videos in my video courses. I have video courses. I even provide little videos showing people how they can download the videos so they have them safe and sound on their desktop, right? I show them how to do it, right? And I'm always like providing people downloadable copies of things. And people say to me, Cam, why do you do that, man? Aren't you afraid of people ripping you off? Aren't you afraid of pirates just sharing your stuff willy-nilly? And a long time ago, I was, and I used to put up these, I used to file these DCMA, DMCA notices against like Black Hat Forum people, and they'd have to remove the copies of my stuff from their websites and stuff like that. But what I learned, this was like maybe 2016, 2017 when I was doing that. What I learned was, I could spend like a lot of energy on just like pirators. I can spend a lot of energy fighting piracy, right? And what I figured out was, actually, you know what? There's this old saying I learned. The saying was, locks only stop honest thieves. That was the saying. Locks only stop honest thieves. Whether that makes sense to you or not, it doesn't matter. The point is, what I learned was, I would rather spend my time and energy just focusing on the people who choose to do business with me, who choose to spend money with me. I want to focus on those people. Now, I will tell you a caveat. Once I stopped, once I stopped, like focusing on getting all the pirated copies of stuff taken down, what happened was this is when I was doing some coaching. I was doing one-on-one coaching. I actually had a coaching client, who spent a couple $1,000s with me. And like one of our first coaching calls, he said to me, "Hey, man, I have a confession to make. I actually started out like getting like a free copy of one of your products on a Black Hat forum. And I was so impressed with it that like that kind of led me to being on your email list. That led me to being one of your coaching clients." And I was like, wow, holy cow. This guy sitting here telling me that he started out as in a Black Hat forum and he was converted into a customer, a high ticket customer, right? So take that how you want to take it. But I guess my point is I don't really focus on the piracy stuff anymore. I focus on legitimate clients who want to pay me money. That's who I focus on. Now, if I'm focused on those people and I'm not focused on the pirates, then what I want is I want my legitimate customers to be able to connect with what I'm putting out. I want them to read it. I want them to consume it. Here I am a year later. I am just now going to be consuming this report. Just now, a year later. And it's only by chance because because I didn't remove this person. I didn't unsubscribe them. I didn't unsubscribe from their email list. Why didn't I unsubscribe from the email list? Well, if they would have been emailing me hot and heavy when I first bought that, I would have unsubscribed from them because I didn't want to interact. I was annoyed that the report was not downloadable. I was annoyed that I couldn't interact with it in a way that I wanted to, and I would have unsubscribed from them. I totally would have. But they didn't. They were silent for a long time. I didn't hear from them. And then just recently, here we are a year later, now I'm starting to get emails from them like, oh yeah, that report I bought. Oh man, I never got to read that, man. Let me look back into that, man. How could I get that in a way that I could actually read it, right? But I'm telling you, most people, I don't believe, are going to be like me. I am the kind of person, if someone does stuff like that to me, and if I really want the information, I will try to find a way to put the information in a form I want to deal with it. People do these video trainings. I don't want to consume them. I like rip the audio from the video trainings and I like listen to the audio while I'm playing a video game. Okay. Or like I'll listen to the audio while I'm taking a walk. Okay. I don't want to interact with your video course on your website. All right. That's just me. That's how I am. I'm not saying I've never done it before. I will consume video courses when I need to, but it's not my preferred way to deal with content. My preferred way to deal with content is audio, where I can do something else while I'm listening to it, or printed off written content. That's how I like to deal with it. So what I'm telling you is, in my opinion, and if this is your goal, and I think this should be everybody's goal, to, get people to actually consume the stuff they buy off of you and to actually create impact with those people and help those people so that they will buy more stuff off of you. If that is your goal, okay, and we're talking about turning one-time customers into long-time customers, okay, if that is your goal, in my opinion, you want to be inclusive as possible in your deliverability. Inclusivity and deliverability. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. All right, and I try to do that with my products. When I put out an audio training, I like to provide the transcript for it. If I'm putting out a video training, I like to provide rip the audio and provide that. I like to provide the transcript of it. I like to provide downloadable copies so people feel like they walk away from something. I was mentioning this guy to you earlier in this stream, Alex Jeffries. I learned a lot from that guy. But, like many years later, I went and I tried to find all those $20, courses that I bought off him, a bunch of good ones that I thought really cool ones. And they were all gone. The websites were down. They were closed. You couldn't access anything. I couldn't access any of that stuff anymore. It was like, dang, dude. That happens a lot with info products, and I think that a lot of info product sellers, I think they're missing the boat, man, because people don't view info products the way they view books. You know, people like view books, they age like wine. It doesn't matter if a book's 10 years old. People will still buy it. They'll still go to Amazon. You know, I was looking for this book called Soldiers and Soldiering. That book was written in the 50s. Okay. People still buy it. They still want to consume it. But like an info product, if it's like 2 years old, it's disappeared or something, you know? And if it's, God forbid, it's a video course that you bought a video training, you had to log into a website, you had a fancy little dashboard to access all the videos and stuff like that. No downloadable copy was provided for you. So like the only way for you to engage with this content is by, consuming the videos on the website. Well, what happens when the website closes a couple years later? What happens if like 8 years from now, you want to go back and review some of that training that you purchased because there's like evergreen content in there that you think applies to what you're doing right now, right? Because it happens, okay? We create these courses and stuff. You think they're like a right now kind of course, but like people bought it. They might want to engage with it 10 years from now. It doesn't matter if it's outdated. It doesn't matter. They want to take a trip down memory lane and interact with it. And maybe there's stuff in there, even though it's not a direct thing for now. Like there's something in there that they wanted that is going to apply to right now. You know what I mean? It happens all the time, man. I'm telling you, these info products, like they matter many, many years later. But if you're only providing your stuff in one way for people, then what happens is like it's not the same, like you're not inclusive enough for these people. And it could be all the way down to they just aren't going to engage with your stuff at all because you're not delivering it in a way they want to deal with it, right? It could be. And at the very least, you could be missing out on new sales because people can't go back and engage with your old stuff that they bought anymore because you closed this website down 5 years ago or blah, 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 whatever, because you didn't give people downloadable copies. So now they can't engage with it and remember how cool you were 5 years ago or 6 years ago. And now they want to look you up and see what you're doing now, right? But that wouldn't happen if you didn't give them downloadable copies. You see what I'm saying? What I'm saying is inclusivity and deliverables. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. When you have already sold somebody on a lead magnet or you've already sold someone on a product, how you deliver that product matters. All right, make it easy for them to consume it. Right, give them multiple ways to consume it. That's what I say. Right, and listen, this is something I've kind of like changed my mind on. Right? I do feel like exclusivity is good. It can be very good, but this like deliverable thing, this aspect of deliverability, right? I don't think exclusivity is good. I think it's freaking annoying, man. I think it's really annoying as a customer. That's what I think. And yes, I am one of those customers who will not deal with your information if it's not in a way that I want to deal with it. That's just the way it is, man. Now, I wonder how many other people out there are like me. Or how many other people out there are just going to deal with it just because they need the information, right? I don't know. But I stand to believe that there's a lot of people out there like me who won't deal with crap that they don't want to deal with, right? I bought a special report off of you, and now you're forcing me to like linger around on your website for like hours and hours and hours while I read it. I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to do. Okay. I want to go lounge around in my bedroom and read it and flip through it. I want to print it out. Okay. So don't make me do it because I'm too busy to deal with you. I think a lot of people are like that. That's what I believe. Anyways, this is a little bit of a rant, I suppose, but I'm talking about, this idea of inclusivity and your deliverables. All right. That's what I'm talking about. Make it easy for people to consume. You will create more impact. Okay. That's what I believe. Hope this has been helpful for you. I am Cam from epicconversions.com, and I only have one product on the market right now. Just one. It's called the Epic Conversions Monthly. Epic Conversions Monthly. And if you're interested in my product, Epic Conversions Monthly, you can go to epicconversions.com, scroll down, you'll see a link for Epic Conversions Monthly. Hope to see you in there. I want you to have an amazing, amazing Wednesday. It's movie night at my house. Wednesday night movie night. we'll see what we watch tonight. I'll see you guys. Peace.